Not all of them, but more and more Clemson fans are becoming okay with losing. It's all right. We had a good run. You think I'm kidding? You think that I made this up? You think I'm bashing someone? Well, you're wrong. I am literate. I read the comments. And every now and again, I venture outside of, staying away from comment boards and forums to actually look at what a lot of Clemson fans are beginning to say. Not all, but more and more. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. Welcome to the channel. I'm Brian. I'm glad you're here. I am glad you are here. Clemson is definitely closing down the season. They have Citadel coming up this week. Really no reason to do a preview for that one. I may do it just, I don't know, waste of time. But of course, Clemson and their rival South Carolina gets together next week after Thanksgiving. So probably more talk will be around that game because I think they play Wofford this week or something like that. But anyway, season's coming to a close. The national landscape is becoming clearer and clearer with a few foggy spots here and there, but the season is slowly coming to the close. So I appreciate all the subscribers, everybody who's reached out to me and said, hey, you know what? I don't always agree with you, but I like what you've been doing. I like just your take. It's different. It's refreshing. Because you're not just towing the company line. You're not afraid if, you're going to run into a coach somewhere and they're going to say, hey, why'd you say that true yet bad thing about me? And that does happen, by the way. But I appreciate, it hasn't happened to me, but I know it does happen to people in the media. So I appreciate everyone who subscribed. If you want to subscribe, I hope you will. It is free. Let's dive in. There is a place for contentment. There is a place for appreciation. There's a place for loyalty. And I think that is a quality that a lot of people, they've lost. They've lost over time. There's also the other side of the coin where there's a loyalty and there's an appreciation. There's an understanding of the assignment. So it's a relationship. There's give and take. Dabo Sweeney took Clemson to heights that very few college football teams ever, if it's a mountain, they very, very rarely reach the summit. But he did it. He did it twice. The 6 playoff appearances in a row. He did that. I mean, heck, I even had someone comment on my channel yesterday when I was complaining about the possibility of 2 lost. Okay, let me say that again. I was complaining about 2-lost SEC teams potentially making the college football playoff. You don't think that can happen? Well, then you haven't been paying attention. It's very possible, by the way. And they took a shot at Clemson. They said, well, Clemson played all those easy schedules and then went to the playoffs. And it was like, well, I didn't mention this part, but in that 2015 team, Deshaun Watson took the guys to the first playoff appearance, lost the national championship, barely lost it to Alabama. That year we had like the number 3 ranked strength of schedule. It was crazy. But not even counting that year, Clemson went on and beat a bunch of big name teams. Legacy teams, historically great teams. They did it, so nice try, but the argument doesn't stand up. But Clemson has done that. Dabo did it. By the time Dabo was 48 years old, he had 2 national championships. Do you realize that Nick Saban did not start his tenure at Alabama until he was 55 years old? Let me paint this out a little more for you. Let me make the picture a little clearer. That means that at 48 years old, Dabo Sweeney had accomplished more than Nick Saban had accomplished at the time that Nick Saban was 55 and took over Alabama. Sit in a dark room and think about that. But since that last national championship, I've warned over and over and over that complacency has infiltrated the Clemson team. We have people who openly talks about that Dabo's main goal is not to win a national championship. It's to impact young men. The problem here is that a lot of Clemson fans are okay with Clemson losing a few games here and there. They're not wanting to lose, but they think that they're bad people if they step back and they go, hold on, we have, according to 24/7 Sports, we have one of the most talented teams in the country by 5- and 4-star ratings, meaning how many the composite asks the question, how many 5 stars do you have on your team? How many 4 stars do you have on your team? And then they rank those teams. Clemson's number 5 in the country right now, folks. So while all the talking heads, big media, small media, independent media, are all gurgling up the same vomit about NIL and transfer portal and everything, they're just regurgitating a bunch of lazy talking points. Clemson is, by talent, one of the most talented teams in the United States of America in college football. Yes. Yes. I know. Go do your research. Clemson also plays in one of the easiest conferences in the country. Definitely within the Power 4. And the only way you get any easier if you go to Conference USA, Sun Belt, one of those other small conferences that has teams who are historically bad at football. So you have the 5th ranked most talented team in the country. You play a relatively easy schedule, but you're dropping games to teams that doesn't make sense. And then when you play big teams, you get beat. Like an older brother walks into the room, looks at his little mouthy brother, and beats the crap out of him. And the little mouthy brother, in this case, is not mouthy. We come in with our suits and ties, and we're living off of 6 years ago, 8 years ago. And then the fans are sitting here, and they're going, well, we had a good run. And we just need to accept that. Where's the competitive nature? I mean, where is it at? And the reason I'm doing this video is because this morning I read a comment on a forum, and I normally don't do that, but for some reason it was suggested to me. And I couldn't help but click on it. I stay away from forums. And folks, I am telling you, by the time I got halfway through it, I wanted to throw my phone. Now, there's a difference between accepting that maybe your team is not as good as they once were and that we're going to have to rebuild. That's quite different than going, we had a good run, but this is just how it is now. So just appreciate those years, and we may win some games, may win 10 games this year, and we'll celebrate that. But in any other scenario, if you were to take the 2 national championships out of it, you would call that person a loser. I didn't know that Clemson's cap was 2 national championships. Nobody ever told Nick Saban that. No one ever told Urban Meyer. I don't care what your feelings are about Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer could coach football. It's his off-the-field activities that bothered Urban Meyer. But that guy could coach. He could coach. He won 3 national championships. He won 1 at Ohio State and 2 at Florida. And before he took over those schools, he made Utah look unbelievable. Stop before that, unbelievable. I think it was Bowling Green or something. Nobody told him there's a cap. So I'm really bothered right now because I see this coming into the Clemson community. I have seen enough. I've seen enough of this loser mentality. And I am calling it out right now. If you are watching Clemson football and you say, well, we had 2016 and we had 2018 and we just need to be thankful for those moments. I ask you this. Why are we even playing football games anymore? Why are we even trying to recruit certain players? And I'm going to go somewhere that I try to stay away from, and y'all think, Brian, you talk about it all the time. I stay away from it much more than what you realize. Why are the Clemson coaches paid so much? If we are just at this place, folks, if we're just at this place to where we had a good run, why charge so much for tickets to go to Death Valley? Why? I'm serious. Why start any collective to try to be competitive in NIL? By the way, Clemson does use NIL. Dabo uses NIL, okay? I'm just asking you, why even try? Clemson fans, I am begging you, don't get into this mindset. You are not a bad person for looking at the coaching staff and say, you have the 5th most talented team in the country. You play in an easy conference. It's okay to ask, what happened from way back in December when you finished your game, your bowl game against Kentucky, all the way up until you played Georgia on August the 31st. What were y'all doing? What were y'all focused on? How did you give up 28 points in the second half to Georgia? Great, you played a really good first half. There's 4 quarters in football, and the only way that there's any different than that is if you forfeit and you don't play the game, or you go into overtime. There are so many people right now who are okay with losing, and I'm like, what? Who told you that this gave you virtue? That you're some person on a moral high horse for looking at things this way. I'm going to get into the comments section. Jace Littlejohn, good to see you. Angie Ledbetter, hey, Brian, how are y'all feeling about South Carolina? I'm glad we aren't playing them. Angie Ledbetter is a big Georgia fan, huge Georgia fan. Angie, it's good to see you in here. I don't feel good about it at all. Clemson just was up 17-7 over Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had their second-string quarterback in, and Clemson blew that lead. Pittsburgh took the lead. It took an incredible run by Kay Klubnik. I mean, Kay did a great job. But Clemson should have never had to go down to the wire with a team that Pittsburgh is not good. They were on a 2-game losing streak, hadn't played anyone all season, finally started losing, came in, played Clemson. Yes, Clemson had injuries, blah, 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 blah. Clemson built a 10-point lead with those injuries. And I do not feel good about Clemson playing South Carolina. And you as a Georgia fan saying, I'm glad we don't have to play them, yeah, I think they would beat y'all. I think that if South Carolina had to replay the first half of their season, they may be a one-loss team, maybe undefeated. And that's coming from a devout Clemson fan who is far from a Gamecock fan. Can't stand them. Can't stand them. Jennifer Duncan, maybe if SC embarrasses us good enough, Dabo will replace Riley and Goodwin. A lot of people's talking about replacing Goodwin, and they're fine with replacing Goodwin. But, folks, we should be getting rid of Riley before we get rid of Goodwin. Leading into JT Brown here, I'm with Pigskin Pete. I've seen enough of Wes Goodwin. He needs to go. If he goes, Riley has to go with him because Riley has messed up more than Wes Goodwin has. JT Brown, I appreciate you supporting the channel. I see that symbol beside your name. Hey, folks, listen, if you want to support the channel, I'm a loner. You want to know why I can speak like I speak? You want to know why I call it, bring up controversial issues and beat the drum for a long time, and people are calling me Mr. Negative, and then it comes to pass, and then it's like, oh, man, he was right. It's because I don't have to worry about anyone calling me and saying, why did you say that? You know, it got back to so-and-so, and they're very irritated with you. By the way, that happens, folks, okay? It does. It's been happening for many, many years for different sports teams, pro, college, high school. Folks, I don't have anybody who's going to text me and ask me what's wrong. I would say, hey, I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. So if you like what I'm doing, I hope you'll not only subscribe, it's free, I hope you'll join. There's a join button below the video, $3 or $5 per month. I made it affordable. If you don't see that join button, you're probably on an iPhone. And me and Pigskin, we see eye to eye on a lot of things. I'm not rebutting Pigskin, and Jennifer, I'm not rebutting you. And JT, I'm not rebutting you as well. I'm just saying, if Wes has to go, Riley has been fired a long time for Wes. Well, you got us all this yardage. Yardage is supposed to get you to the end zone. Points. That's what yardage is supposed to produce. Yardage doesn't supposed to produce yardage. The end result of yardage is supposed to be getting the ball into the end zone. I won't go to another game until Dabo stops gaslighting us, acts like he really cares how we look. More and more people are tuning out of his press conferences, and more people are watching, who do watch his press conferences, are walking away going, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. Love the show. Been tuning in since the start of the season. Thanks, Matthew Thompson. It means a lot to me. I appreciate it. Why make the South Carolina game a noon game when both teams are ranked, and give FSU a 7:30 time ticket after a terrible season? I don't know. At least we get the game over earlier in the day. We can know whether to cry or celebrate. Clemson start taking a nosedive toward 2017. Dabo start using those ego tactics. What did I miss? Finebaum say something dumb again? No, I just put his face up there for people to click in because you can imagine Finebaum saying it. Unfortunately, I mean, I disagree that he's messed up more. Riley came on when the offense was bad and hasn't really made it all that much better. Goodwin took over a national title caliber defense, and now they are average. I'm not saying that I'm completely sold on Wes. This will be one area that we may differ on. Wes has not been terrible. You also have to think, and a lot of people wants to romanticize Brent Venables, and Brent Venables was unbelievable, right? But you need to go back to that game, Brent Venables, his very last game he coached at Clemson against Ohio State. First round of the playoff. Ohio State beats Clemson for the very first time in a long time. Brent Venables' defense couldn't stop a nosebleed against them. Couldn't. Trey Sermon ran all over Clemson. I mean, couldn't stop them. The year before that, we were up 17-7 over LSU. Our offense stopped working on us, but our defense got bested. And I've taken up for the defense and said, you have to have the offense come up there and do what they have to do. But Brent's last few years, they gave up a ton of yardage. And listen, that goes back to the offense in big games not putting up. So it's even. I mean, it's a toss-up argument. I could argue with myself, trust me, argue with myself over it. I've always, let me see, Dwayne Wicker. I've always felt Riley was tied to the hip with TCU's head coach, since separating both are just not the same. You got to remember that was their first year at TCU, and they got them to the national championship. Before that, they were together at SMU? They go to TCU, they do that. That was incredible what they did. But Garrett Riley coaching against Georgia in that game and in the Clemson game against Georgia, he's only managed 10 points in 2 ball games. Meanwhile, The offense for both those teams gave up 99 points. I mean, the defense gave up 99 points. I'm less on Riley since I've seen improvement, but on Goodwin, we don't have close coverage in the secondary at all, and we are not getting pressure up front, and it's getting worse. You know why everybody's freaking out about the defense? Because the defense is what kept us in games while the offense had its thumb up its tail, and everybody gave them a pass. That's why everybody's freaking out, because we all know that if the defense collapses, the true colors of this football team is going to go down to about 7 wins in a terrible conference with a lot of talent. Wes will grab you, then let you go. No Brent. Let me see. We should get Muschamp to replace Goodwin. I don't think we should. I know one thing. I'm not a fan of looking like we're going back to the Hatfield, Tommy Bowden type of years. I know you're not say folks are willing to go back to that after this last decade. So Tommy Williams, I'm glad you brought that up. That is perfect. That is perfect. So Tommy, I read, hey, we need to worry about, we could go back to worse than the Tommy Bowden years. That's what I read. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. We're playing defense instead of offense mentally with the program? That doesn't make sense. Again, we play in one of the easiest conferences in the Power Four. The ACC is pure trash, except for a few teams that are competitive here and there, but they're not elite. And so if I took Clemson, let's just do an exercise right here. Everybody live, just hang with me. If we took Clemson and we put them in the Sun Belt today, should Clemson win every football game? Well, Bobby Dodge says, please stop misquoting that. Please stop using that for laziness, for teams and coaching staffs, most of the coaching staff, for not actually doing their job. Clemson should win every game in the Sun Belt. Clemson should win every game in Conference USA. If you took Clemson and put them in the Southern Conference today, should they lose a ball game? The correct answer is no. The point is that Clemson plays in a bad conference. If you play bad football teams, or if you play football teams, you have more talent than them, you have more history than them, you have more recent success than them, and you have the 5th most talented roster in the country, and they're not even close to you, they shouldn't even sniff a win against you, unless your coaching is not what it should be. And Tommy Williams, people are afraid that if we demand more out of this current coaching staff, that they're going to get mad, take their ball, and go home. To me, I think it's a lack of respect of not expecting more out of it. If you have, think about this. I know everybody's talking about Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Jake Paul didn't beat Mike Tyson. He beat an old man. Mike Tyson in his day would have murdered him. He would have knocked that beard off his face so hard. I mean, it would have been bad. Eyeballs would be hanging out, right? So Mike Tyson didn't fight Jake Paul, right? An old man did. To make, what, $20 million? But you go in and you take Mike Tyson and you put him in his prime against the best, he's winning. You put him below the best, he's murdering them. Clemson has the ability to do this, and it would be seen as a lack of respect for Mike Tyson in his day if you looked at him and said, well, you know what, he's had a good run, but we just don't think we just don't need to expect too much out of him. I think Tyson back in his day, before his brains got scrambled, would probably look at you and go, that's disrespectful to me. What you're saying is you feel sorry for me, that I can't do it anymore, that I don't have it anymore. Hey, that's disrespect. But you think you're respecting me. That's disrespectful. That's how I view Dabo Sweeney. Dabo Sweeney is not farting dust. Dabo Sweeney could have 2 or 3 more national championships. Maybe not right now, but overall in the next 5-7 years. 5 to 7 years. 2 more national championships. I told you he accomplished more than Nick Saban had at his age. I think it's disrespectful not to expect more out of Dabo Sweeney. What you're telling him is, hey, you're the old man now. You don't have it anymore. I think that's disrespectful. I'm not sure about Wes either. I think Riley is improving the offense. What is the feeling on Cade Klubman? Is he going back for his senior year? Yes, he's not going to the NFL. He's not ready for it. What's up, 904 Hurricane, by the way? Clemson needs a complete game. We had offensive flashes versus bad teams, but defense was mine. We had okay defenses at times when our offense just pulled no-shows. We need both. Yeah, that's called coaching. Coaching does that. Charles Johnson, back to the 20th ranked recruiting class every year. Yeah. Virtually unrestricted free agency via the transfer portal has definitely had a negative impact on college football. The genie is out of the bottle and you can't put it back in. Matthew Coker, I really enjoy your non-sugarcoating take on Clemson football. If what I said is even a real thing, I appreciate it. He could. Let me see. You're right. Transfer portal and NIL have ruined college football. Okay, so how do you fix this, right? If I want to get on here and I want to argue, and I want to talk about Clemson fans are okay with losing. I'm not saying all of you. I have a bunch of you in here right now. You're probably on lunch break. You're tuning in. You want to know what I'm talking about. Here. Let me recap for some of you people who's late joined. First, before I recap, I hope you'll subscribe. Remember, I'm just doing my thing myself. All right. So if you like it, even if you like to argue with me, I hope you'll subscribe. It's free. So do that. The recap is more and more comments are showing up on forums, which I stay away from, but I saw one that was suggested to me this morning, and I read the first line of the forum. It was in an email sent to me, and I'm telling you, I flipped out. I had to read it because it just reeked of loser. And so I read this comment, and it's not just one comment. I'm seeing it more on my boards. I'm seeing it more on other people's boards when I break down and read them, which I normally don't. Major Clemson media, small YouTubers, people who just cover college football. More and more Clemson fans are becoming didn't say all of them. More and more Clemson fans are becoming okay with losing. And it's under this banner that seems like it's very loyal, seems like it's very moral. It seems like it has a sense of contentment and appreciation. But it's really a loser mentality that says we had a good run, so now we just have to sit back and let what's happening happen to us. And you're a bad person if you don't. Folks, more and more of that crap is showing up. It's not virtuous. In fact, you want to think that I disrespect Coach Sweeney? No, I do respect Coach Sweeney, and that's the reason that I challenged the man. At 54 years old, a man who had 2 national championships by the time he was 48, and to recap another point I made, Nick Saban didn't take over Alabama until he was 55. Unless Sweeney's had a birthday, he's 54 years old. He's accomplished more. He accomplished more at 48 than Nick Saban had accomplished at 54, at 55. So for me, I would be showing disrespect to Coach Sweeney if I looked and went, yep, oh man, he's just farting dust. He's over here graduating kids. He doesn't have it anymore. Hey, listen, coaching football, winning games, that's not the goal at Clemson anymore. No. I think that's truly disrespectful. Clemson fans are okay with losing. Not all of us. Not me. Not a lot of you. But it's seeping in like a sick infection. And I hope it stops. Folks, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. I hope you'll drop a comment in here and say hello. I do appreciate it. Answer this last question. If Clemson wins out with a double-digit win against SC, does Clemson deserve to get in the college football playoff? If they can't get into their easy conference championship, no. I want to save my team from getting TCU. Right? They'll get TCU'd, and that will be a massive dagger to Clemson football. Folks, you take care of yourself. I'll catch you later. As always, go Tigers.